This is Sanjeev from Teckle. Today we are going to take a look how we can install fonts on MacBook. Though like any other operating system, macOS comes with its own fonts installed. But even if you want to extend that functionality and add more and more fonts to your MacBook, there are three different ways you can achieve this. We will talk about all three different ways. What I have done for this video is I have few fonts already downloaded on my Mac. We are going to install these fonts in different ways and see how all we can achieve this. The first thing is the font comes in a different formats. So there can be a TTF file or a OTF file. A file with an extension of TTF is a true type font, and a file with an extension of OTF is open type font. Don't get confused, both can be used on MacBook as a font. OTF is a bit newer than TTF and is based on TTF but adds more scalability and few other options in there. So if you download a font which has both the files TTF and OTF, you only need to install one of them, and I would suggest to use OTF rather than TTF in that case. So let's start with the first method. The very easy way to install a font on a MacBook is by double clicking the font. Once you double click the font file, this is what you will get. Just click on this install font button and the font will be installed. So we can see that font has already installed on our MacBook. Now what we have seen is a font book, and it actually tells you what all fonts are installed on your Mac. There are two very important things here. One is a user and other one is computer. Any font which is installed on user will be visible to the local user. So if you are using a MacBook with only single user, it doesn't matter much. But if you have multiple users on your MacBook and you install it in user, other users might not be able to see this font. In that case, you need to install it in computer so that all the users of a MacBook can see it. The only difference is when we install under user, it doesn't ask for a password or admin password. If you try to install a font in computer, it will ask for an admin password because you need to get a permission to put any files in there. So if you just want to install it in a user, that's how easy it is. Just double click the file and install the fonts. This method might be okay if you are installing one or two fonts. But if you have multiple fonts or many different fonts which you want to install directly, then you can use a font book. Let me close this font book right now. Just go to your launcher. In others, you will see a font book. So either click from here or use Spotlight to search for font book and open the font book from there. Once you have the font book open, the easiest way would be to select multiple fonts which you want to install. So let me select two fonts and just drag and drop. If there are any errors, it will pop up and it will tell you what errors are there. You can select and still decide to install, and it will install. Like now we have the freshman font here. Normal font is available, and other one is Varsity, and it's also available for us. So this is the second method where you can use the font book to install your fonts automatically. Now let's see what happens when you try to install a font on computer so that all users of a font can use this. So let me take a font and try to install it on computer. What it's going to give is, again, there are such small issues. So let me install Tigged. It's installing the font, but it needs a admin password here so that it can install the font, because we are installing it for the all users on the computer. Once you give your admin password, the fonts will be installed like normal. The only thing is, if you have given so many fonts, you might have to type your password multiple times. So the better approach is, if you are using only for user, use this user folder and install font inside the user folder. The third method of installing a font is using library or finder. Go to your finder So open a Finder, and we already have a Finder open. Once you have the Finder open, go to the Go menu, hold the Option key and click on Go. You will see this library. Click on the library. Once your library is open, you can see inside there is a folder called Fonts. Open the Fonts folder, and this folder will have all the fonts which is installed for the user. Now let's get a different fonts which we want to install. Like I want to install this font. We just have to copy and paste this here. And once we have copy and paste, if we open the font book again, we will see this font is already considered as installed. So here is the Campus Personal Use, which we just copied in the Finder, and we can see that that font is considered as installed. So these are three different ways you can install your fonts on MacBook. Just select the way you want and copy your fonts accordingly. Now let's check how to uninstall a font on MacBook. If you want to uninstall or delete a font, just go to your font book and you can see the font which you have installed. Whether you have installed it on a user folder or computer, you can see all the fonts which is available there. So there are two ways you can uninstall a font. You can either just choose to disable it, which means your font will still be available on the Mac but won't be displayed in any of the application. If you want to do that, just right click on any font and select Disable Family. Click on Disable and the font will be disabled. You can see the off in right front of it, which means this font is disabled across your applications. If you want to completely remove the font because you don't want to use it anymore, again right click and you can select Remove this family, and once you click on that, it will ask to remove and it will delete the font. So those are the two easy ways how you can uninstall or disable your fonts on MacBook.